Imagine you are surrounded by enemies, not just on a battlefield but in your own government. Your empire is being torn apart by a plague that's killing thousands every day. Your most trusted allies betray you, and every morning brings a new threat of war. Every instinct tells you to react with force and with anger. It's what anyone would do. But what if the secret to winning wasn't to fight back harder? What if the key to victory was to not react at all? One Roman emperor faced this exact reality. In the middle of unimaginable chaos, he discovered a simple truth that gave him power over his empire by first giving him power over his own mind. This is the story of the man who refused to react, and in doing so won everything that truly mattered. The man was Marcus Aurelius, and from the moment he came to power on March 7, 161 AD, his rule was defined by one crisis after another. The famous 200-year peace known as the Pax Romana was coming to an end, and Marcus was the one who had to face the consequences. He was not a man who wanted war. In fact, he hated it. Yet, war is what came to him. Almost immediately, the Parthian Empire in the east started a conflict that threatened Rome's most valuable territories. Marcus sent his co-emperor Lucius Verus to lead the legions. They were successful, but the soldiers brought back a far more terrifying invisible enemy, a plague. History now calls it the Antonine plague. While its exact cause is still debated, scholars believe it was likely a strain of smallpox or measles, diseases the Roman population had no immunity to. The accounts are horrifying. Victims suffered from fever, diarrhea, and their bodies were covered in red and black eruptions. At its peak in the city of Rome, it's said that 2,000 people died every single day. The pandemic lasted for 15 years, killing an estimated 5 to 10 million people, roughly a tenth of the empire's population. It crippled the Roman army, which was so weakened that Marcus had to recruit anyone he could find. Slaves, gladiators, and even bandits were brought in to defend the borders. And the borders needed defending. As the plague weakened Rome from within, a group of Germanic tribes, the Marcomanni and the Quadi, saw an opportunity. They charged across the Danube frontier, launching the most serious invasion in centuries. They pushed so far that they even entered Italy, something that hadn't happened in over 200 years. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher who wanted a quiet life of study, had to become a warrior. For most of his remaining years, he lived in a military tent on the frozen banks of the Danube, personally leading the campaigns to keep his empire from falling apart. As if the horrors of plague and war weren't enough, a third crisis came from within: betrayal. In 175 AD, while Marcus was on the front lines, a rumor spread that he was near death. Believing it, his most trusted general in the east, Avidius Cassius, declared himself emperor. Suddenly, 7 legions and the critical grain supply from Egypt were under the control of a usurper. War, plague, and now civil war. The pressure was absolute. Every external event was screaming at him to give in to fear, rage, and despair. And yet, this is where he found his strength. How does a man, facing such overwhelming adversity, find the strength not just to endure, but to lead? For Marcus Aurelius, the answer wasn't found in armies or in power, but within his own mind. From a young age, he had embraced the philosophy of the Stoics. He didn't just study this philosophy, he lived it. Every night in his military camp, he wrote to himself. These writings survive today as his Meditations, one of the most powerful books on self-mastery ever written. The core of his practice, the simple secret that gave him power, is a concept known as the Dichotomy of Control. It's the understanding that some things are within our power and others are not. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a major influence on Marcus, put it plainly: things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. Whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, whatever are not our own actions. This wasn't just an idea for Marcus. It was a practical tool. He couldn't control the Germanic tribes. He couldn't control the spread of the plague. He couldn't control the ambition of a traitor, but he could control his response to them. He could control his own thoughts, his own judgments, and his own actions. That was his true domain. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This became his mantra. Picture him receiving news of a military defeat. His generals are panicking. The reactive mind would lash out and make rash decisions. But Marcus would pause. He would turn inward and ask the key question, what here is actually mine to control? The enemy's movements? No. The only thing truly in his power was his own judgment about the event and the next right action he could take. He taught himself to strip events of the emotional judgments we put on them. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." The thing is, this wasn't a practice of passivity, it was the ultimate form of empowerment. By separating what he could control from what he couldn't, he freed himself from the tyranny of circumstance. The chaos of the world could rage all it wanted, but it could not touch the inner citadel of his mind. He understood that true power wasn't the ability to bend the world to your will, but the ability to prevent the world from breaking your will. This understanding of the dichotomy of control led Marcus to his most effective weapon, non-reactivity. He mastered the art of the pause. When faced with a crisis, his first move was to do nothing, to be still and consult his reason. Think again of the rebellion of Avidius Cassius. His most trusted general had betrayed him. The natural emotional reaction would be rage and a swift, brutal crackdown. Other emperors would have started executing anyone even suspected of disloyalty. But Marcus did not react. He held back. He told his men he saw an opportunity to settle this affair well and show to all mankind that there is a right way to deal even with civil wars. His greatest fear was not losing, but that Cassius might be killed before Marcus had the chance to forgive him. The truth is, emotional reactivity is a tool for manipulators. They provoke you to make you predictable. By refusing to react, Marcus made himself unreadable. The rebellion ended not with a great battle, but when Cassius's own men, seeing the emperor's calm resolve, assassinated their leader and sent his head to Marcus. Marcus refused to even look at it and ordered it buried. He then wrote to the Senate, asking them to show mercy and that his reign not be stained by the blood of revenge. He responded to betrayal not with fury but with magnanimity. This principle applied to daily irritations as well. He prepared himself for the day ahead, writing, "I am going to be meeting with people today who talk too much, people who are selfish, egotistical, ungrateful. But I won't be surprised or disturbed, for I can't imagine a world without such people." He saw their flaws not as a personal attack, but as a product of their own ignorance. To be angry at them is as foolish as being angry at a fig tree for not producing olives. Instead, he saw humanity as designed for cooperation, and that our job is to tolerate the faults of others while being strict only with ourselves. So, what did this man, who faced constant war, who lost children to the plague, who endured betrayal, actually win by refusing to react? His empire didn't last forever. In fact, many historians argue his reign marked the beginning of Rome's long decline. His own son Commodus would prove to be a disastrous emperor. If we measure victory by external things, Marcus might look like a failure, but that is to judge by the wrong metrics. The very things he taught were not in our control. His true victory was internal and therefore untouchable. He won resilience. The historian Cassius Dio, who lived during that time, wrote of him, "He did not meet with the good fortune he deserved, but for my part, I admire him all the more for this very reason, that amid unusual and extraordinary difficulties he both survived himself and preserved the empire. He preserved the empire because he first preserved himself. He won inner peace. By accepting what he could not change and focusing on acting with virtue, he cultivated a state of tranquility that was independent of his external circumstances. The happiness of his life, he knew, depended only on the quality of his thoughts. And finally, he won a legacy that has outlasted his empire by thousands of years. The throne, the power, the armies, these were all temporary and have turned to dust. But his thoughts, his principles, the wisdom he wrote down, these were his own, and they have become immortal. He won everything that mattered because he refused to let the chaos of his time dictate his character. As he famously wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. You are not a Roman emperor, you don't command legions or face barbarian hordes, but you face your own wars. You face the chaos of impossible deadlines, difficult colleagues, and betrayals in your own relationships. You face the constant pressure to react instantly to everything. These are your Marcomannic wars. These are your plagues. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius is not a historical artifact, it is a practical guide. The next time you are stuck in traffic, fuming with impatience, ask yourself, is this in my control? No, but your judgment about it is. The next time a colleague criticizes your work, pause. Do not react. Is their opinion in your control? No, but your own integrity is. Your choice to respond with dignity or not at all is entirely yours. As Marcus wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. Practice the dichotomy of control. Take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, list the things that are causing you stress. On the other, list which parts of those things are truly 100% within your power. You will quickly find that the only things on the second list are your own thoughts, your own choices, and your own actions. This is where you must focus your energy. The story of Marcus Aurelius teaches us a paradoxical truth. Ultimate power is found not in controlling the world around us, but in mastering the world within us. He won everything by refusing to lose himself. He faced the worst the world could throw at him and met it not with rage, but with reason, not with reaction, but with resolve. He proved that resilience is a choice, that tranquility is a skill, and that your character is the one thing no one can ever take from you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.